Okay, so we're here with the Motorola Droid X for Verizon Wireless, and we'd just love to get a kind of walk through the device, tell us some of the hardware features, software features, a bunch of new software stuff, so yeah, we'd just love to.
We'd be glad to do that, my partner Scott and I. So this is the Droid X, the pocket-sized home theater. This was developed with the idea that we want people to have great multimedia features as well as other functions that we will be talking about. But the first thing I want to talk about with you here is the size of the display, 4.3 inches. More than 400,000 pixels on that display. It comes in the back with an 8-megapixel camera and an HD camcorder. So it allows the user to capture content in high quality and enjoy it on the device. And I'll show you in a minute what are options users have to enjoy and to watch on the content on the phone. So very large display. It comes with a 1 gigahertz processor, so great horsepower for you to handle high performance imaging features, multimedia applications, gaming, all those things. It comes with 8 gigabytes of onboard memory, as well as an SD card of 16 gigabytes. That's a total of 24 out of the box. Users have the choice of upgrading the 16 gig card to 32, so you can have up to 40 gigabytes if I add up the SD card memory as well as the onboard memory. So really a lot of memory for users to store their pictures, videos, music, all of that. And in that respect, we're really taking a leap forward and giving a lot more, a lot more capacity to the end user. One thing I'd like to also point out is that this device empowers other devices around it, and I'd like maybe to ask Scott to take us through what that is.
Great.
So we have the 3G mobile hotspot. I don't know if you're familiar with that on some of our other products, but essentially the device becomes a wireless hub.
Right.
That can connect up to 5 other devices concurrently. They see it as a hotspot that connects through our backhaul back to our 3G wireless network. So everyone else can have connectivity around you that might not otherwise be able to connect to whatever network or their devices as well.
Which is pretty creepy. I mean, I have, I guess, Verizon MiFi now, so it's kind of like, but now your phone can do it, and
right.
and you can connect multiple. So it's a crazy feature. I mean, people, it's one more thing their phone can do that they don't need another device for.
Right.
And what were the prices associated with that?
It's a $20 a month feature, additional to the unlimited price plan. And that gets you 2 gigabytes per month of consumption. And again, like you said, if you're out traveling with a bunch of your friends, you can have that application running on your device and allow connectivity to other people's laptops and things like that. To be able to get them access to the network.
And you think 2 gigabytes, I mean, is that enough to get, like, if you're the average person using it a few times a week, or like how far?
It's pretty well priced within that month of usage. So even like the corporate user too, that the amount of data that they would be transferring for email contacts and typical usage, we try to get that size to what we would consider to be a very good, meaningful experience without that user overdriving that data usage. So a lot of the other per megabyte feature plans are in the megabyte range. So that 2 gig really allows a lot of consumption.
And how do you actually enable that on the phone? Where's the hotspot option?
It's right as soon as you open up the system tray. It's one of the first icons that you'll see when you first get the phone as a default. And what you're essentially doing is now enabling the device. You can set your own password on the device to make sure that you can control access as to who actually gains the access to the hotspot, so that random people out there don't see it as an open access point. So you can control who has it and who doesn't. So it's a very, very easy, intuitive user interface. It's really just one click that you can get on there after you set your password to open that up and have the data connect through the backbone.
You may have noticed, but this is a very snappy UI. Again, great processing power, and just very, very convenient, pretty seamless experience. We were talking about video earlier. Here's a couple of accessories. And before I talk about the accessory, let me point out to the fact that this has an HDMI out port.
Awesome.
So with the cable, I can take my high def, video that I just filmed, my kids, doing skateboard, for example, and see it on a larger screen at home.
So the next press event that you go to, you might be, instead of using that HD camera, you might be using your Droid Extreme.
There you go.
So, as our previous generations of accessories with Droid, this, by just docking it into the tabletop.
Can you take that off one more time? I want to see what's underneath there.
So this has the two ports. One is the micro USB port.
Okay.
So that means I will be able to charge my device while it's docked, and the other one is the HDMI.
Okay.
Port.
Awesome.
So I'm just going to dock this thing in. And the device actually recognizes where it is, and the whole user interface will change. Now, the standard screen is the alarm clock, but what I'm also able to do with this is just play a movie or do a slideshow of my pictures on the phone or hear some music.
Very cool. Is there do you have a demo video you could show?
Sure.
As one of our applications that really lends itself really to this immersed multimedia experience and what we call that home theater experience, we actually have a Blockbuster application that resides that you can get onto the device.
So you get to see that.
And over the 3G network, you can browse the entire catalog that they have available of movie titles that are available to the users. You can make purchase and rental options right on the device, and then from there, the transport methodology, you really have choices as to how you want to view it. If you have a Blu-ray player that has internet connectivity, you can have that movie downloaded into that Blu-ray player. If you have an HD TV that has internet capability as well, you can have it go right into that TV. Or if you have the device connected in through a Wi-Fi hotspot, you can have that movie downloaded directly to the device.
It's pretty awesome.
And here's some titles that we had previously looked at and had downloaded to the device. And once you start playing it, it renders right here onto your screen, and the picture quality is just phenomenal. The device really shows that great quality and that great screens.
Looks pretty good.
And so that all is part of that experience. We also have our VCast video application, which right now offers live streaming of content. So we're airing our World Cup soccer matches live, every match that's up there.
Had I known that, I would have been watching it on the way here.
There you go. And it's in two feeds as well. We have the Univision's feed in Spanish, and we also support the ESPN feed in English. So you can watch either one of the matches over that feed that carries over the 3G network.
And what's the price of VCast?
It's a $20 a month additional fee beyond the unlimited data plan.
Okay.
And that gives you the full access to the entire catalog of all the content, including clips for children, parts from TV shows, from all the different major networks, as well as some of our live streaming content. To also supplement to that, we also have our NFL app. I don't know if you saw the live draft that we offered back in April. We have the exclusive rights to more upcoming games, including preseason games, in-season games, as well as exclusive content directly to teams. So if you're a Giants fan, you can get that direct content.
Go Ravens!
He's a Ravens fan.
Go Ravens!
Ouch! Ouch! That hurt back in 2000. I gotta say, 20 for the it's 1999.
And how much?
Oh, I'm sorry. The VCast. I'm sorry. Thank you for that correction. The VCast additional is $9.99 a month. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. So yeah, but the NFL feed will have a lot of Verizon exclusive content.
So how much
very nicely.
is the dock going to cost? The multimedia dock.
Let's get back to you on that.
Okay. Okay, fair enough. Probably comparable to other multimedia docks that you've released, like the.
I think so, but let's get back to you on that and make sure we're not quoting you.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And so we also have another accessory here, which is
the in-car accessory, which was another very popular accessory with the original Droid. So this one, similar idea. I dock it in. And again, it recognizes the environment it's in, and this is, I'm going to use it for, maps and turn-by-turn navigation. So, I'll just press here, and again, you can see how the user interface pretty much changes in this case to become a navigation. So to open up the navigation app from Google, free spoken turn by turn.
It really puts all those features that a driver needs, that easy touch, so that this way you're not distracted when you're in the car.
I hate to say it, but I have a Droid and I don't have a dock still. So I do navigation, maps all the time, but I have it in my lap and I'm looking down and it's such a disaster.
And you know what happens, right? You run out of the house and you're trying to set up the navigation as you're putting in your seatbelt and everything else. It's not a good situation. We're trying to make sure the user has very easy, instant access to these features on the device.
So if you all are like me, don't be like me. Go out and get the car dock.
I honestly, once I got the car dock, I was hooked. I just couldn't lose it.
Yeah, I need to do that badly. Very cool. And of course on the 4.3-inch screen, it's bigger than a lot of the GPS standalone units they have out there now.
Exactly, yes.
Oh, totally.
And it's always with you, so you don't have to worry about coming off an airplane and getting into the rental car and worrying about renting an extra unit. You carry it with you and you have everything that you need for your navigation.
So on the software side of things, we've seen phones that have just vanilla Android, and then we see phones that have Moto Blur. This is kind of like a blur of blur. Can you tell us what is different in this version of Blur and what the changes are? I mean, it looks a lot different visually. Does it operate different?
Think of it as having pretty much the functionalities of Blur, but we've made certain adjustments based on consumer feedback as well on us partnering with Verizon to find the best possible experience for this specific device. So for example, I do have my social networking widgets that I just created here, and as with another Blur device, if you've used a Blur device in the past, same idea. I get my Facebook, Twitter, MySpace feeds all into this integrated home screen. I can flick through pages really easily. I can vote if I like this comment. I can add the comment myself. So this is one of the key functionalities from Moto Blur. It's also available here. From a setup perspective, rather than put it up front on Power Up, we actually made it optional. So consumers go into the menu tray and they select the application, and then they go through the setup process.
That's awesome.
But really, Moto Blur allows you to do so many things. Another example here is my news feed. And I get that information from multiple different sources, and that's one of the great things about Moto Blur is, for me, it's just so simple. I go into the news feed. I don't have to yo-yo in and out of different applications or different content sites to get the things that I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I guess traditionally the Moto Blur, the whole concept of it was to aggregate everybody's social points, I guess, of connections, so they don't have to go all these different places. Instead, they just use this one system. I guess that the feedback was that some people don't use their social things differently, so you pretty much just give them the option to turn it off, or you made it run more in the background. I mean, what was the overall philosophy, I guess?
I would say we're putting the consumer in control. And they decide how they want to experiment Moto Blur, which, by the way, is so much more than just social networking aggregations. But let me give you another example, which is of what I mean by putting the consumer in control. Some of these widgets are actually resizable. So let's say that my social networking one is one where I get a lot of information from, and I do want more real estate. I can very easily resize.
That's great.
I can make it bigger, I can make it smaller.
That was one of my main complaints about Moto Blur in the first place.
There you go.
Yeah.
It can be as prominent or as discreet on the home screen as I want. And that
it doesn't have to be that intrusive, where it's more in your face. It could be much more subtle.
Yeah.
And like I said, you can really resize it to depending upon what your level of prioritization is on that particular screen.
Yeah, that's great.
Resizing really also works for the context. So if I want 3 different ways to reach out to this person, I can just press and hold on the widget, put my finger on one of the corners, and let's say I'm just interested in calling the mobile and sending a text message. Very, very easy. I just resize it so there's 2 little squares, 2 options, and again, that's the idea of putting consumers in control. Similar concept applies to battery management. If I go into settings and scroll all the way down to battery manager. I can either select a profile, which goes from performance to battery saver, and there's one in the middle called smart mode, or I can also set up those options myself. I can decide when, at what time of the day I want to get my email. There may be times during the day where I actually don't want to get my email because, I want to make sure I use the battery for something else. Maybe I'm on the treadmill, for my lunch break, and I want to make sure I have enough battery there to listen to the music on my phone. So again, putting the consumer in control, giving he or she the ability to just customize a lot of these features.
Out of curiosity, is this something that was done? Obviously, it's the first time it's been on a phone. I mean, the Droid X, but are we going to see more phones with this type of blur, or is this the new version of blur, or just an alternate version of blur?
Blur is a platform that evolves over time, and that we're applying to different different other devices. I think in this case, what makes this device so unique is we really partnered very closely with Verizon, took their feedback in, so we get the experience where we feel it's best. It works really well for the consumer.
We listen very well and very closely to what the feedback is really from the market, and we saw a lot of that as well. Like that, it was a great service, but how do I control that clutter of information when it becomes overwhelming if it's too much? And so really, that helping to resize that and helps the user be able to make that judgment as to what kind of prioritization it's going to take on their device. I think you're going to see that carry forward more, as we look at the Droid X and future revisions of it, to be able to let the user control the experience.
I think before it was like, here's Moto Blur, either you like it or you love it, or you like it or you hate it or whatever, and you were fit on one side, but this is more like, all right, customize it so you can love it.